Hi, past, present, and future homeowners. Welcome back to the Property Buyer's Guide. I'm your homegirl, Justina. Today, we're focusing on the process that follows once your home loan has been received from final credit approval and evaluation has been done by the valuations department. Joining us is Mr. Morne Davids, FNB Namibia's Home Loans Administration Manager, to guide us through what to expect, the timelines, and the necessary requirements to proceed. Thank you for being with us, Morne.
Thank you, Justina.
So can you tell us what happens once an application is given final approval by credit?
All right. I think just to touch base on the question, it's a quite imperative question. When you say what happens, I usually call my department the engine room within the home loan CS.
A V8 or a V12?
Preferably a V8.
Okay.
Yes, because we need to be quite fast.
Yes.
That's where the realization of the deal needs to happen. After the final approval, we will let the client sign the final code. The consultant will take the client through on the approved conditions, and then we will instruct the specific transaction to one of our attorneys that is on our panel. And once the specific instructions reach attorneys, the attorneys will commence with the registration of the bond, and if there's a transfer, definitely engage the transferring attorneys to make the deal a realization.
So here's a question. You mentioned that the file will be sent to one of the transferring attorneys. Can I, as a buyer or a seller, pick the attorney, or is this something that's done strictly by the bank?
Unfortunately, the buyer can select the transferring attorney, but we, the bank or the financier, would nominate a bond attorney on behalf of the client for that specific deal.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
One of the questions that most clients always ask is, how long is this process going to take? So we've already gone through the process in terms of the valuation, the credit approval, and all these other items. And ideally at this point, your application has been approved. It's been sent to the transferring conveyancer or the bond conveyancer actually. So how long is the process going to take once these documents have been sent through to the bond conveyancers?
All right. I think just it is offering dependent, but usually we give a timeline between 8 to 10 weeks. But there would be deals that would be finalized quicker than the specific set period because it's offering dependent. If it's a sectional title development, as we know, it won't take between 8 to 10 weeks because the developer is still busy constructing that specific sectional title of the complex. And usually we are guided by that specific process.
How long will the bank allow, for example, in between the time an approval has been given and a developer and or seller gets the property ready for transfer?
Yes, as I've just previously alluded to, it's offer dependent, but if it's a construction deal, preferably, let's use the sectional title. We want to finalize the specific deal within 12 months. That's a set period that we have. Yes, and if the deal is not finalized within 12 months period, then definitely we need to revisit the specific deal and definitely take a decision going forward, especially including the client in the specific deal.
And is there anything that the buyer, the seller, the developer, or any other party involved in this entire transaction can do to ensure that the process goes as fast and as smooth as possible in terms of that 8-week process that you mentioned, 8 to 10 weeks?
Usually yes, or dependable on the approved condition. What we usually require, the client needs to provide a life cover. So if that process is being expedited from the client's part to meet the credit conditions or the approved conditions, that which we call it in our space, that's quite imperative, and it will make the process quite faster. Especially if it's a scheme client. So once we approve a scheme client and there's a collateral condition, we need to request for collateral through that specific client's employer. So if a client can take our hands just to expedite that process, would smoothen the process as well as shorten the lead time that we have given ourselves, but that is between 8 to 10 weeks.
So it's a joint effort.
It's a joint effort.
Everybody needs to hold hands and have this transaction go through.
100%. And usually if there's a estate agent involved, they are on the ball, they assist, we liaise. Attorney would advise, the bank would advise what is still pending on the deal. And we will do anything within our power. As you have previously alluded to, it needs to be a V12 engine that needs to run quite fast.
And make that sound that excites everybody.
That excites. The 4 pipes.
Yes. Okay. Morne, you did touch on some some of them again, but maybe if you can finalize or summarize rather, what are those documents that are required to be submitted by the buyer once final approval has been given to the client?
Yes. I think, Justina, just to take a step back, usually what will happen is once we have done our outbound call, the attorney would contact the client. And what the attorney would require from the client is usually the identification or a passport to identify the client. We would require a marriage certificate if there is a marriage certificate, and if the parties are married, and dependable how they are married. If there is an ANC contract, definitely we will look at that. That needs to be provided, the offer to purchase contract, as well as the signed final code. That needs to be forwarded to the attorneys, inclusive of the tax number. Because if you're going to purchase a property, transfer duty needs to be paid, and the attorney needs to insert that tax reference number to NAMRA for the transfer duty to be issued by NAMRA in a specific instance. So that's in a nutshell the documentation that would be required, apart from the approved condition which the client needs to meet, but that is usually discussed up front with the applicant or the applicants.
So for ease of reference, these documents, because we mentioned bank consultant, we mentioned lawyer, we mentioned agent, who exactly is the buyer and or seller? Who are they distributing these documents to? Or does it go to someone specific, or does it go to one of these individuals that we mentioned in this chain?
Yes, 100%. It needs to be submitted to the attorneys. Definitely, we will also aid from our side to provide what we can provide. But as per the rules, the attorney needs to positively identify you. Is it Justina that is acquiring the property? Does the specific ID match the documentation that I have? So that's why the attorneys, and for their FIA process as well, they need to have that specific documentation from the applicant and what we call our future own homeowner.
And so just so I'm aware, and or a buyer is aware and comfortable, will the bank inform me this to say that, listen, these are the bond lawyers that we have chosen to to handle this transaction, and they will get in contact with you, and then the process will move forward from that end?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Once we do the outbound call, we touch base with the purchaser or or I call it the approved person.
Yes.
Or the persons. And in that specific instance, our outbound official will inform the purchaser that take note, your loan has been approved. We're going to do the instruction to the specific bond attorneys, and these are going to be the attorneys that is attending to the deal, and in turn the attorney will make contact with the specific purchaser or purchasers.
Alrighty, so it's quite an efficient process.
So let me say so, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the engine room needs to be well-oiled for everything to run smoothly.
Alrighty, no, that's a good point. Thank you. And for those at home tuning in, thank you very much, and we will see you next time on the Property Buyer's Guide.